You know, the more they explain about this Nen, the more engrossed I become in the series, and I'm just dying to watch the next episode, and that's the mark of a great series. Hunter x Hunter, Episode 29, Awakening and Potential. Well, hello, my brothers and sisters and newly appointed hunters of the Nerd Nation. I, as always, am Jim, here to bring you another review on the awesome and kind of throwing you for a curveball and a loop every time you turn around. And I'm only right at the tip of the iceberg, Tale of Hunter x Hunter. Our last episode, of course, saw us with Gon and Killua trying to, well, going and getting to the 200s on the floor, but being stopped by Hisoka and finding out a little bit about this Nen, and ultimately Wing coming and saying, hey, listen, I can show you this, I can try to teach you this. However, they've only got a few hours to learn at least the basics of this this Nen, so they can get past Hisoka and actually go and register. Otherwise, Killua will be disqualified and never be able to register again, and Gon will have to go all the way back to the first floor. So that's where the episode left off, and this one picks up right there. And the thing that interests me really, and I may focus a little too much on it, but again, I mean, it's sort of my rendition and my take on things. These reviews are. They're not so much reviews as they are kind of almost like live reactions, because I watch the episode and then I record right away. So it's my reaction, not knowing anything ahead of time. It's kind of my recap on things and my own take on things. So sometimes I'll focus on something that may seem unimportant to others, or vice versa. So, but anyway, they're back at Wing's place, and he's explaining to them about Nen. And he winds up doing this really cool thing where he has them turn around, and he actually uses his like offensive Nen that he has, his offensive Nen, to actually open up like their pores. And he says that everybody has the ability, the capability to have Nen, but many people's like auras, I think he calls them the orals or the auras. They're basically like aura pores is what they are in their body. And what he winds up doing is opening them up on them, and they feel extreme heat and pressure and everything else. Gon and Killua do, but they take it and whatnot, like men, even though they're 12-year-old boys. But nonetheless, though, afterwards they're just sitting there and they're just like seeping this aura, and they can actually see it then at that point, because even the pores in their eyes are open and everything, right? And he explains to them about how that's the first step, right? And but then they have to go and they have to actually be able to concentrate and focus and be able to think. They need to be able to concentrate and hold that all in, otherwise all their Nen will seep out and eventually they'll have no energy and they'll collapse or whatever. So it's very, very much like your life energy is what it is. And I like this, and I like the description of this, because this is very much, if anybody has ever read Stephen King books, there was a Stephen King book called Insomnia. And the book itself, it wasn't, I think, one of his top 10. It wasn't one of his best. But the whole theme and premise of it is that there was an older guy that, for whatever reason, or I forget exactly what happened to him, but he was able to see other people's like life force, their auras. And he was actually able to see, and like somebody who was like a smoker and who was in bad health had like a dark gray aura, because it's like they were pretty much scheduled for an untimely visit from the angel of death, that sort of thing. And then people, based on their personalities and their strengths and things like that, their overall health, had these auras emanating from, Now, there wasn't as much in the way of being able to use it for defensive or offensive purposes, but this is where it takes it to the next level, and I really enjoy hearing about it. So he winds up teaching them that, and then he goes and he teaches them, and they're able to actually go and concentrate and then hold this in, and he's amazed that they're able to pick up on this so quick, right? But then to be able to get there and actually just get past Hisoka to register, they're going to have to learn how to use, obviously, the defensive part of it, right? The 10. And so he explains to them how to do it, and then he goes and he's going to use his offensive Nen to push forward to them, and they're going to have to try to stop it, try to block it, try to create a shield around them with this 10, And he explains how if you're a really fast learner, you're like there's two ways of learning. I like this. He's like, there's the natural way, right? And then there's like kind of like the forced way, the quick way, the shortcut way. And Killua, it's funny because you see him in his immaturity level, and Killua was one of those like, yeah, always take the short, quick, and easy way, right? Just quick and easy. That's what he wants, What does he say? I think he says quick and dirty is the best way, And our little fellow over there, he wound up going and actually, he wound up actually learning. It took him, I don't know, 6 months or something like that to learn, just the kind of basic, the first portion of it. So they have to learn in a couple hours, and they kind of take the crash course, the quick way, to it. And they're naturals. They have natural, just kind of God-given talent and ability, right? But they wind up, you know, learning how to actually use the defensive part of it. And then, I don't know, what, about 11:20, 11:30, they still have some time left. They're able to get, you know, go back into go back into Heaven's Arena, go back to the 200th floor, and they're able, and Hisoka's still sitting there, he's just whipping, you know, he's just creepy and shit, man, sitting there, you know, looking at pictures of kids or whatever he does in his spare time, and whipping cards against the wall, you know, sticking them into the wall, and just with that crazy little, little laugh, you know, that little, like, I'm a pedophile laugh. And anyway, so as they approach down the hallway, of course, you know, his nen is just flowing out towards them, and they're able to actually walk through it and shield themselves. So they've learned enough about it to at least be able to defend. Now, what Wing has explained to them is that, first of all, he tells Gon, and you see this through like kind of like a flashback from a few minutes before, tells Gon that he shouldn't even, neither one of them should fight right away. They should at least have a couple months of intensive training to be able to get a grasp on this, because they just learn the basic principles of Nen and basically the 10 as far as being able to defend yourself. However, they said that's not it. Going against somebody in the 200s here that has a general or a good grasp and knowledge of it, you're going to get your ass handed to you, you know? So anyway, Gon goes up with his big old balls, man, and just drops them on the floor type of thing, and goes up and he's like, hey, I got past your thing now, I want to fight you. And Ahsoka's like, I'll tell you what. You win one match in the 200s and we'll fight. We'll go toe-to-toe, you know? And it's like he's impressed, but at the same time he knows, like, listen, you know, impressive. Most impressive. But you are not a Jedi yet, you know? And that's really what it is that you don't have that full power, that grasp of it yet. It's very much like a Luke Skywalker learning from Yoda in the swamps, you know, in Empire Strikes Back. And him wanting to leave his training early before he had a full grasp on it because he needed to go save Han and his sister. So it's very much the same type of thing, because then they go past Ahsoka, they go over to register, and once you get over there and actually get to the desk and register, you have 90 days to, you can choose when you want your fight day to be, right? And you have up to 90 days to prepare for it. So they literally can go and sign up and then go and say, yeah, day 89 or day 90 or day 60 or whatever, and they could have went and done some training. But no, we're not going to do that. Of course not. Go just like, yeah, put me down whenever you want. The lady goes and at the counter goes and takes this bunch of time explaining everything about the floors and in the 200s and how the people are and how things work. And once you get up high enough, the last 20 or 21 floors are guarded by like a floor boss. And then if you could beat that person on that floor, you become that floor boss. And all that shit it's really interesting and it's really cool, but Killua, it just totally does not interest him. He's just like, whatever, I lost interest once we get to the 200s, you know? Because now he's thinking about, he's like learning this new thing, this Nen. He doesn't really give a shit about the fight anymore. They earned a bunch of money, you know? And he just wants, you know, they obviously just want to learn more skill-wise. They want to raise their skill set up, you know? So, but Gon, though, man, he's just like, you know what, fuck it, put me down whenever you want. And then these motley crew, these three stooges show up behind him. And I say that because one of the guys looks like he's in like a high-tech wheelchair, but it's got these big like tractor wheels on it and whatnot. And then there's this other dude, Gaido, I think his name was, and he's like a robot like that. Looks like he's running around on what the hell do you call it? It's like almost like the bottom of a cane or a walker where it's got that ball at the bottom, like a uniball thing. He's got one pole coming out. And then, anyway, they don't look like much, but clearly if they're in the 200s, they must be decent fighters, at least, you know. Nonetheless, though, the episode kind of goes and takes a turn. Then they go into the room, Killua and Gon have separate rooms, but they wind up going into Gon's room. And they see on the TV and whatnot that he's already got a message, and the message is that he's set up for a fight tomorrow. Now, the whole idea of these three stooges kind of eavesdropping on them is they wanted to see when he was going to fight, probably because they were assuming that it might be an easy pickings type of match with somebody who just recently got to the 200s. I was like, hey, they don't know the ropes. They don't know what's going on. You know, they just barely were able to get past Ahsoka and his Nen. And from what we heard, all 170-something competitors at this level, they know how to use Nen, right? Some better than others. So the episode winds up ending with the beginning of that fight between this guy Gaido, and that's the only reason I knew his name, of course, and Gon. And Gaido is able to do this cool battle waltz move immediately that he winds up doing, where he goes and he throws out a bunch of these tops, and he keeps them spinning with his Nen. Says he can do it for hours, and says that it's all these random patterns where they collide into each other and bounce off, and that he doesn't even know the patterns of them. So, because one of them winds up nailing Gon, you know, and it hurts, you know, and Gon gets back up, like he does always, and brushes himself off. But he's really got his work cut out for him, because this guy, although he doesn't look like much, has a better control and mastery over that Nen, over that force that he has. And again, that is something that interests me the most about this series thus far. Many people have alluded to and just flat out said in the comments, Nen is one of the coolest things. And I like how there's an actual explanation, and I also like how it does kind of harkens back to someone having been in the martial arts for years. It really does kind of harken back to like an advanced form of almost like that chi, that sort of inner strength that you can have. Anybody who ever studied anything with Bruce Lee and whatnot, I mean, he was the guy who developed the 1-inch punch, and he could generate so much force just being an inch from you that he could literally just knock you on your ass just with his punch. And the guy was small, you know, but he was so strong and so wiry. And I mean, and the way he could harden up his body, I mean, again, it's not on the supernatural side of things like this is, but it's very much, this Nen is very much rooted in some of the realities and some of the things that are, and some of the teachings that you'd actually see in martial arts, the world around. So I think it's very cool. But anyway, that's how the episode ends off, and man, I'm dying here. I got to turn on the next one, so I'm gonna have to let everybody go over here. Obviously, thanks for watching as usual. My episode question for you, though, brothers and sisters, is what are your thoughts on as far as just the opening the pores, the releasing of that, to be able to just kind of let this life essence, this Nen, this strength, this power seep out of you, and then being able to actually direct and control it. You know, I'm sure that you can probably control it to where it's like a bolt or a firebolt. To where you can actually go and push somebody back, to where you can probably actually like hold somebody up against the wall maybe, I don't know. I mean, there's got to be all kinds of cool implications with it, and I just want to know what your thoughts are on it at this point, as they've given us a couple episodes of some pretty good descriptions and at least a good jumping off point. So leave your answer to that question in the comments down below. Feel free to hit the thumbs up, the like button if you should think that I deserve it, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. We will look forward to catching all of you in the next Fun Nation. Remember to follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, even my other channel,